joining us. My name is Pamela Melville, and I'm your moderator for the afternoon. Innovative partners with our customers to modernize project and work management and become higher performing organizations with happier people by leveraging Microsoft Teams and AI. We seek to do this in a minimally disruptive way that enables you to continue to use existing technologies and processes while you modernize and retire legacy technologies. Your speakers today are Mike Taylor, CEO of Innovative E, and Brian Quick, Director of Sales. Mike is the founder and CEO of Innovative E and lives on the Space Coast of Florida. He began his career writing PPM software for NASA and has extensive experience as a PPM practitioner, community contributor and writer, and process and app producer. Mike has recently released his book, The AI Project and Work Management Revolution is Here, Practical Strategies for Seizing This Moment to Become a Higher Performing Organization with Happier People, available as a Kindle title, or you can read it with Kindle Unlimited. Brian Quick, who hails from the Jacksonville, Florida area, is a Microsoft alum of 7 years, having previously managed the Microsoft project business for U.S. financial services and Midwest accounts. Brian has spent most of his career in IT project management leadership and has been with Innovative E for nearly 4 years. I wanted to go over a couple of housekeeping matters. We are recording this webinar, and we will send a link to the recording and a copy of the slide deck to everyone who registers. Please remain muted during the webinar. If you have any questions, we're hoping to have a Q&A session at the end of the presentation. Please use the chat feature to ask your questions or share feedback. Please be aware that your questions will be viewable by others in the webinar. Note that the contents of this webinar are the intellectual property of Innovative E and may not be reposted or otherwise disseminated without express consent. And at the end of the session, we will have Q&A as well as a couple of surprises, including free candy and a free book. So stick around to the end. I'd like now to turn the floor over to Mike and Brian for our webinar, Modernizing Project Management with AI. Remove the disconnect between people, apps, and data for exceptional project outcomes.
Thank you very much, Pamela. Brian, it's good to see you again. It's been
hey, Mike.
It's been a minute. We did the I think the first incarnation we did of this, I was thinking back on it, was almost a year ago. It was in March of last year. We did it for the PMI XPO, which is coming up again. And man, a lot has changed in a year, right?
It has. Mike, I'm so excited to be here today to talk about modernizing project management with AI, with all these wonderful people, our friends in the United States and around the globe. Hey, everybody, and thank you for joining us.
Yeah, we had an amazing registration. I think it was almost 1,000. I don't know how many are actually on with us today, but as Brian said, thanks for spending your afternoon or morning or evening with us. So we'll get right into it. So as it said in the abstract, what we're looking to do today is really talk a lot about how AI bridges the gaps between human and technology. Really give an update on kind of where Microsoft is in the project and work management tools and the platform in general. There's a lot to talk about there. And then talk about, this is kind of jumping to the end, but really how we see Teams, Microsoft Teams and the modern platform and the AI-enabled platform is really the hub for all project and work management going on within your organization, regardless of your execution tool. So might be a little bit of a new wrinkle that we'll explore a little bit more. And of course, we're going to have a lot of demos today. We're hoping to drive a lot of engagement. As Pamela said, please keep the questions coming in the chat, and we'll have some Q&A at the end. And if we don't have time to get around to all the questions, we will certainly follow up. There'll be some contact information at the end. And of course, we want to keep the conversation going. We want to continue to stay engaged with folks and see how our strategy is aligning with what you guys are thinking and how we can help. So with that, a little bit about Innovative E, if you don't already know about us. We are a longtime Microsoft PPM and multiple competency partners. They have changed the competency now. It's called the Cloud AI program. Everything's around AI. But we are the 2023 Partner of the Year winner, which is the current year. Microsoft's fiscal for we're in their fiscal for 2024 right now. And we've won several awards over the last several years. So poll question number 1, Pamela, if you could put that up, but how far along is your organization in using AI for project or work management? Are you substantially integrated in the use of AI across all your project and work initiatives? Are you using some AI that's embedded in specific apps? Maybe you're using some of the third-party tools, the Born in the Cloud tools, dayoftheweek.com or whatever, and you're using some AI in there. Are you using generic AI or generic generative AI like ChatGPT or Copilots at the collaboration, maybe at the Teams level or other? Or are you actively researching and planning for future AI, or have you just not started to do anything yet? So I think there's I see a lot of folks posting answers in the thing. There's also a poll that has been popped up. If you want to click on the poll there and submit your response, hopefully everybody can see it.
Yeah, Mike, we've had about 100 responses so far.
Yeah, what's it looking like there in terms of the kind of the leaderboard?
Yeah, it seems like the leading question is we haven't started yet, which is
Okay.
at 36%, followed by actively researching at 29% and using generative AI at 26.
Okay, so it's pretty safe to say about 60% really aren't doing a lot right yet. Some are doing some Gen AI. That's about what I would expect, wouldn't you, Brian, given kind of where things have evolved rapidly over the last year or so?
They have. I think people are getting their feet wet with it. Some folks haven't quite yet, but that's why they're here, Mike. Learn more about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Well, let's keep going. So the context for AI for this session, what we're not going to do is we're not doing a deep dive into AI and LLMs, large language models, and all the detail that goes into behind. There is endless information out there. You can even ask AI. You can go to ChatGPT or to Bing, and there's a Copilot built right into Bing, and you can ask all kinds of questions you want about what AI is and all that kind of stuff. What we're really here to talk about is the context of AI and how it really works in the bridging gaps for project and work management. We want to talk a little bit about some examples of what's available today. There's a lot that's come on in the last year or so, and what's going to be available very soon, both from us and from Microsoft. And then we want to talk a little bit about some practical strategies for adopting AI to really make it useful within your enterprise. And again, like Pamela said in the intro, without being disruptive. We really see this as a kind of an evolutionary approach rather than a revolutionary approach. All right. I told you we were going to be engaged here, so you're already up to poll question number 2. So what is your experience with Copilot? So this is getting a little bit more detailed. We ask a more generic question around AI. So now, have you used Microsoft Copilot at all? Because we're going to delve into some detail around Copilots here. In fact, there's a short demo I'm going to play here in a second that'll show you a little bit about Copilot. So are you just getting it started? Or you've been using it for months? Have you seen demos and read about it, or you don't know what Copilot is at all? So, which is fair. That's fair. So a lot of answers coming in.
Yeah, we've got about 130 responses so far, Mike, and most people are unsure what Copilot is, about 42%.
Okay.
And then
Fair enough.
about 33% of you have seen a demo or read about it. It has been in the news quite a bit. About 23% of you are just getting started, and 2% have been using it for a while. And I think that's, plays largely into the fact that Microsoft has only recently made this available. It's been available for enterprise customers, and now it is also available for organizations with 300 users or less. So
Right.
I think folks are going to become more exposed to it.
Right. And it's definitely an add-on SKU. There's cost associated with it. And I think there's no discounts even for partners. It's a straight up, I think, $30 per user per month. So it's not inexpensive. But we'll talk a little bit more about what Copilot is there. Let's jump right into that. So what you see here, and apology, it might be a little bit blurry. I actually did a screenshot from a sample meeting. So what this is, let me set the stage here before I play the video here. This is inside my team's environment. I have a Copilot. There are multiple flavors of Copilots, but we've discussed this, and I think that there's no plural to Copilots, but there are Copilots for different applications that are out there across what Microsoft calls the modern workspace. So of course you have, in this case, it's Teams. There's a Teams Copilot. There's one embedded into Word. There's one in Excel, one in PowerPoint. There's one soon to be coming up in the Microsoft new planner. We'll talk more about that, what that is and how that works. And there's a short video demo, which I actually borrowed from the Microsoft site. So what this is, if you see it and you guys are familiar with Teams, is this is a Teams meeting that had occurred, and I click back into it like you would where you click on the chat and you say, and at the top you see up here, I clicked on recap, and it brought up, what do you want to recap? And I clicked on transcript because I took a transcript of the meeting, and Copilot automatically goes and reads the transcript. So over here on the right, you see the Copilot window pop up, and it lets you do all kinds of things. It lets you query it around things that happen. So like within the meeting, I submitted several queries about what happened within this sample status meeting that we did. So Emily was running, she was the project manager, I was in it. We had another one of our resources, Matt, that was in it. And we were talking about a fictional UAT that we were going to do, and to bring something, and then different kinds of things were discussed. So there were some actions, there were some issues and risks identified and things like that. So I queried Copilot, and you'll see over here on the bottom right, it's kind of small. That's where the queries go. So I'll play the video now and I'll kind of talk through it. So the first query was, kind of what was the purpose of the meeting? And so the Copilot goes in, analyzes it. You see it say, comes back with what the results were, and then you see some references in there. Then we ask about what were the action items of the meeting. So it comes in and say, okay, what were the action items from this meeting? Just pretty straightforward. And Copilot goes, reasons over it, and then pretty quickly it spits out what it read to and interpreted, because it's AI, of who's going to do what. So I've got a couple action items there. Matt has one, Emily has one. So then we ask, in a little bit different hints. You don't have to ask it always the same way. As you can ask it in different ways, and it'll interpret what you're trying to get at. Were there any issues? And so then you can see that the issues were pulled out, and what was going to be done there. So that at a high level is kind of what some of the copilots do. It's very what's called Gen AI or generative AI focus. So if you played with GPT and things like that, it's basically like a version of GPT, which is embedded into the Microsoft platform and into the products. So I hope that is beneficial, and we will keep going because, like I said, we have a lot of wood to chop today. So next, we're going to talk a little bit about what a high-performing organization. Pamela mentioned it in the top. There's a definition of a high-performing organization, and it has several components to it. One is that it executes well against strategic objectives. And I know that a lot of you guys are, project managers. We have a great relationship with the PMI community. A lot of you probably are PMPs or are involved with PMI. Projects are always involved with strategic objectives, right? That's how you get a strategic objective done. You got a new program you need to build, you got a new something you need to do, a hospital to build, whatever. You've got things that you got to go do, and those are always some form of project. I know there's a big debate on using the word project versus agile versus project to product and all that, but in essence, we're talking about projects. So that's important. Outperforms the competition, it does a better job in doing these things, and has happier people, which I think is a really interesting component to this. When analyzing strategic, and you see the reference that's there from Steve Thornton, and they've done a lot of research on this. Higher performing organizations invest in their people and the tools and technologies and processes that helps to make people end up being happier, and being higher performers is happier, kind of helps with that as well. So this is what we aspire to do, is to help folks be higher performing organizations. So that said, and a lot of you have probably seen this statistic, it's been around for quite a while. This is just from last February, and it was reasserting the fact that there's 48 trillion spent in project initiatives every year globally, and only about 35% are considered successful. And you can see that 65% of the have some degree of wasted resources, depending on the level of success that was kind of derived out of it. And what's really amazing is this statistic has barely changed over almost 3 decades. It's just amazing that there's still such a high degree of dissatisfaction among not just the stakeholders and the folks who invested in the project, but the project teams themselves. When you delve into some of the research around the satisfaction, like I was saying about happier people, and we've dealt with a lot of customers that are very very focused on not just getting better results for the organization, but being able to leave the pressure cooker that their project teams are in, because they don't have any visibility into kind of what's going on, what results they're doing, and they feel like they're always kind of being beat down. So this is an ongoing kind of across the board ongoing problem, right, Brian?
Absolutely, Mike. We see it all the time. But it's really not getting any better. That's the weird part about it, is with all these tools and processes, like you said, it's not really changing that statistic.
Right. So this slide just kind of shows, there's been an evolution of all these tools. You see all the ones on the left that were some of the more traditional tools. You move over, you start getting into the born in the cloud solutions that have come in the last 10 years or so. You have all the different methodologies that have evolved around trying to improve the outcome of these initiatives. And then you have all the, the institutions. You've got, of course, the PMI, which came about in the late 60s, and then there are all these other, Carnegie and Georgia Tech School of Project Management and all these project management schools. And then internal to organizations, they have their own project management. Many times they're PMO or EPMO, and yet the success rates really haven't moved. So, what is kind of what's going on there is the question. So we'll put that on pause for just a second and go to now a look forward. And this is really fascinating that a lot of the analysts are now saying that 80% of project management tasks will be run by AI by 2030. That's only 6 years. But at the same time, there's going to be 25 million new project manager or project professional, they're calling it, jobs, and over 102 million new jobs. So that, that kind of leads to the, what gives? What's going on? There's a couple paradoxes we're talking about here, right? One is that with the huge progress in technologies and methodologies and curriculum and everything else, there's little overall change in the overall satisfaction of project outcomes. And at the same time, we're now, the forward-looking pundits are saying that, there's going to be all these new jobs, but, most of the things that project managers are doing today are going to be automated by AI and automation. So how do you reconcile those, right? It's a conundrum, a couple paradoxes there. So we have some assertions of what we believe and what we've seen. And part of this is what was in the book, which we'll be doing a giveaway here as well. But one of the things that we see all the time is that the gap between work and the systems that govern it is different, right? And we'll delve into that a little bit more in a minute. And then in addition, this is an and, there's a disconnection of the people, applications, and data. If you think back to that slide I just showed a minute ago with all those different processes and all those different tools, people are using all that stuff, and many organizations are using a lot of them. We'll get to, there's a stat on that here in a minute as well. So when you've got all that stuff disconnected, you have all this better way to manage stuff, but at the same time, you have to go to all these different places to get the data and pull it all together. And that's what project managers end up doing a lot. And the answer to the second, and this is just a supposition, right? The answer to the second of how you're going to have all this stuff automated and then still have all these new jobs, because it hasn't happened yet. And this is from different research, and our take on it is that, AI is going to create higher value outcomes. We're going to move that needle up. We're going to become better as project managers and program managers and everybody at delivering higher value outcomes. That's going to result in more projects. And there's going to be more human involvement in that, but not necessarily, and we'll talk more about this too, in the mundane aspects of it, of the data chasing and all that stuff, right? It's going to be focusing more on the human elements of innovation. And you'd like to talk a lot about that as well, Brian. And
Yeah, nobody in a project management role enjoys putting together manual status reports or having to follow up with people on their task status or chasing data around trying to create some kind of picture for management to take a look at what's going on. Those are the kind of things that we need to automate, and that AI is going to help us automate so that we can actually do the real work we are hired to do as project managers and project professionals, which is the human side of project management. So what is that, Mike? It's risk management, negotiation, leadership, being able to work through and remove obstacles from your team. That's really why you're there.
Yeah, you said that refrain over and over again. It's leadership. It's being able to lead people, because you don't lead machines. You lead people, and people end up are the ultimate drivers of innovation and change and get these things done. So AI is going to help with that, but it won't replace that in the overall delivery of all these things. So now,
Right.
if you guys haven't noticed, if you followed Brian and I at all in some of our podcasts and things you do, know we get a little irreverent every now and then. So this next question seemingly has, sorry, I went too far. Seemingly has nothing to do with project management, but we'll bring it back in a second. So if you would indulge us and ask, have you ever had that little annoying beep on your microwave go off to remind you left something in there? So if you would answer there, it never, you never forget anything in there, or occasionally, at least once a week, or more than I'd care to admit, which is definitely me. I'm definitely number 4. I'm going to go ahead and answer that. For me, it's my coffee. I end up warming it up at least once a day and putting it in there, and then walking by and it's beeping and telling me, hey, you forgot your coffee. So so what's it looking like there? Very occasionally and more than I like to admit. So it happens. The never is only, what are we seeing there? Brian's partially eclipsed in my view
I
here.
don't know the perfect people. There's about 15 perfect people on the call.
Okay, they're awesome. I wish I was them, but I'm not. That beep saves me a lot. Um, and so we'll go ahead and close the poll. The point of bringing that up is to say project management and the systems that support it stand apart, right? The way it works today, we have tools that we manage the projects, but that's not the work. So we have to create, as project managers, we have to create these tasks and schedules, and then we have to assign people to them. We have to, between project managers, program managers, team members, we have to do frequent updates, right? If I can't remember something in the microwave that I wanted, I wanted that coffee warmed up, and then I just forgot about it. How am I sure, other than those 15 people that are on here, am I sure that I'm putting all my, when I finish a status meeting, I'm putting all the meeting notes in there? Oh, and which, by the way, I may have had to go to 6 other meetings before I go back to that one. That I put my notes in, that I've assigned issues, I've assigned the risk appropriately, I've updated the task, I've updated the status. I don't know, right? For me, if I can't remember my coffee, I might not be remembering to do all those things. And I think that's one of the things that's universal, is that project management and the systems that govern it stand apart from the work, and you have to be able to recognize that fact. So what results there is much of the information is either isn't entered or is incomplete, and without the less information that's in the project management system, the less goodness you're going to get out of it to make timely, actionable decisions, right? And I think that's a universal problem. So what's the solution to that? And this is going back to what we were talking about, right, Brian? So how about using AI to close the gap between the systems and the work that govern it, or the work and the systems that govern it? So we're ineffective at mundane work. I think that was your phrase, Brian. And so doing all these things, and some of these you've already mentioned, are things that we have to do. AI can read, reason, and write, and it doesn't mind doing the work, right? It doesn't mind doing the mundane work. It's working for us. It's working in concert with us. So try to start closing those gaps. And you saw a minute ago how you can do that in a Copilot, just at a very rudimentary level. And we'll go into some more detail around how some of those things can really weigh in there. So the next thing is the disconnected people, data, and apps. And we talked about all those different apps and all those different methodologies and things that are out there. So in many cases, the way we see it, and there's been surveys that support this and everything else, that this proliferation of technology has actually made this data sprawl and everything worse. And one of the ones we did a few months ago, Brian, we did one of these questions. We had about 288 respondents. 92% said that they use multiple project or work management tools and methodology, and that aligns with the data you see from the analysts and everything else. So it means that everybody's using a lot of different things. I saw one report that said the average project manager uses 5.6 digital tools to manage a project. So we spend a lot of time doing too much time actually trying to find and aggregate data, and it's often not fast enough, right, Brian? I mean, by the time you get it done, you report it, it's already old data. It's not
chasing data, Mike. Chasing data.
Chasing data. It's I'm sure everyone here has lived some of that at least. So what's the solution to this? And this is where we start getting into another element, and that's creating a unified hub for all work. And this is where we start talking about, and Brian, why don't you'd like to talk about this? The teams is where work's already happening, right?
It is more and more. 320 million people around the world. We see a lot of folks in different countries represented on the webcast today are using Teams in order to manage their work. And really, the advent of Teams was a game changer. It's not that we have to find a project management tool anymore. We've flipped this upside down. People are already working in teams, so we need to bring project management into the collaborative space. It provides such an opportunity for us to finally realize the goals that we've all had with those project management systems over all this time, they all have a lot of bells and whistles to them. It's really hard to get other people to use them, and that's why we end up chasing data around,
Hmm.
because the tools become the project manager's tool, the project manager's system, and it's not where people are living
Right.
in their workday. Teams is part of a modern platform, and that means it's highly extendable. So what we can do is we can build inside Teams. It's not just a thing where we can have a phone call or store a file or do a webinar. We can actually build custom solutions inside of Teams, and then bring project management processes into that space where people are already working. It's
Yep.
amazing.
It is amazing. And we've had a lot of interactions with folks. I think one of the most energetic or energizing experiences I've had, and I think you did too, Brian, was back in last November when we were in Atlanta for the PMI Global event, and we talked to literally hundreds of people about kind of this concept and staying in kind of the collaborative work area of something like a Microsoft Teams and making that the central hub. And everybody gets it. Everybody's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I spend my whole day there anyway, so why not put everything together there? So I think there's a lot of natural energy around this concept.
Yeah, we've never received a response like that at a conference before, and I really think that it's the moment that we're all in.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is the last poll question, but that doesn't mean you can go away. There's still more demos and giveaways at the end. So we thought we'd hit you hard in the first half of the thing with all the poll questions. So I know a lot of folks said that they're just getting started with AI, but still take your best guess at what you think is the best use of AI for project management. Is it generative AI to help with task creation and inquiry-based information like we saw a little bit earlier? Is it schedule analysis and recommendations for optimization? Is it overall reduction of manual effort, which we've already talked a lot about? And we already did a little bit of a demo on RAID, and we'll talk a little bit more about that for your PMPs out there. Is it all of the above, or is it none of the above? And any answer is fair game.
Yeah, and we've had a lot of responses. If you guys are responding in the chat, you should have the poll popping up. I don't know why you're having to do it in the chat. That's okay too. But basically, we've got about 150 responses in, and the overwhelming majority is all of the above.
Yep, that probably tracks pretty well with what we would have expected. And I think that, and there's a lot more. We'll get to a little bit more of the kind of the blue sky potential of what can be done here. We're just
Yeah.
getting started, really. So moving on. This is actually a new feature. I apologize. I had a video in work that we'd recorded a new feature, and this is from a product that we have built, which is called Teams for PM, and this is a new feature. Unfortunately, I only have screenshots. I couldn't get the video edited in time to make it work in the time frame. So, and Brian's going to be doing a little bit more of just the general Teams for PM demo here in a few minutes. But what this is similar to what we saw with the Copilot, but with a little different flavor. So what this is you're seeing here is a meeting transcript that has been read by this feature that we're putting in. We're calling it the contextual AI assisted meeting. We've got to come up with a better name. But what it's doing is it's actually reading, and instead of just spitting out an action or an issue, it's actually presenting the project manager, the person who's assigned within that project. So if you're project online or project for the web, it would present you, Brian, if you were the project manager, you'd get this card at the end of, you'd go run this and it would present this card to you. So it's reading the meeting transcript, and it's not just spitting out some Gen AI, it's actually saying, okay, what are some possible action items that AI heard from this meeting? So there's some, it says, Mike to confirm the list of UAT testers. Okay, that makes sense. So you can go click on which ones of these you want to go do or build out into an actual, put into an action item list or a risk down below. You see moderate risk that UAT timeframe are not going to be assigned correctly. So our licenses aren't going to be assigned correctly because you couldn't do the UAT, right? If you don't have licenses for your UAT testers, that's a pretty good risk. And so you can go check these things and hit submit. And what's cool is it actually goes and generates it goes into a next level card to let you take on this thing. It's actually a risk item. This is just a generic risk. Everybody's seen this kind of thing, right? But you can modify the title, you can change the description, you can change the impact probability, and all this is customizable. But it makes it almost instantaneous for the risk. And then you do the same thing with the action. Said who's it assigned to? It's contextual. What's the title assigned to? What's the due date? And so those things then, when you finish with those and you say submit, it actually automatically puts them, this is what's cool, right? This is the magic. It automatically puts them into a risk list, and it automatically puts those actions into an action list. And this all goes into the team site for that project, or that team channel for that project. And so it's automatically doing a lot of this job very contextually. It's not just Gen AI saying, okay, here's some things I read, and I think this is going to be, which is good. It helps. This actually helps you do your job with only a few clicks, right? You could have gone through this literally in a couple minutes, right, Brian, as a project manager, and now your risk registry and actions list are already updated directly into your project site. And we
Yeah.
talked earlier about not getting things done because you forget the microwave beep. This is like your microwave beep, right? It just beeped and told you, hey, you probably want to go log these issues and actions, right? And so you go
Yeah.
do it, and you're done. And now your next status meeting, you've got those things right there in the Teams channel, and you can go review them as part of your normal status meeting. So it's
I
pretty
like
cool
that.
stuff.
So
Yeah,
coming out of a meeting, just taking action immediately, recommending next steps, pre-populating the risk log, that's great. I mean, those are the kind of manual activities that, we need that beeping microwave for, because how many times have you gotten off of a call and then you're like, okay, what just happened? What do I need to go do? And you're losing information and data in context, especially if you get just thrown into your next call right after that one.
right.
So
Yep.
what we're going to try to do is keep using the AI platform that Microsoft provides to build in more and more of these features to automate that manual work and get ahead of the game.
Yep, absolutely. And we're just showing a few things that's possible. We're going to put a few of these, the things that are really obvious into our product. And then the other thing is, because we're aggregating the data, and we'll get more into that, into kind of the platform, customers can go apply the Microsoft technologies and go do their own AI solutions as well. So I see a lot of questions. We're not going to be able to get to all of them, but somebody asked what technologies behind this. This is actually AI, Azure Logic Apps for, or Logic Azure for, I can't remember what the exact AI component is, but there's 4 or 5 of the Azure. There's one for context and sentiment, and there's a couple others. This is the one that reads stuff and provides stuff back, and actually uses it actually uses a GPT function to feed it through and generate a CSOM, so it can, if anybody wants to be really technical, or technical people will talk to you, but it generates the piece for that script. So we're using AI to generate the script as well as read the transcript. There's a couple steps to it. There's a lot of other questions we can get to later, but that gives you a high level. But you as a customer could do the same. You could do similar type things, right? And so the extensibility we were talking about is, you've got it within the Microsoft environment, as well as what, if you bought our product, or if you bought the Microsoft Copilot, you can get all these additional capabilities, and you can build it yourself.
Yeah, people are really running away with your microwave analogy.
That's great. Do I hear a beep? No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so this is kind of the technology update, because we promised everybody we would do this, and I think it's really appropriate, given the shift. And we were talking at PMI again with folks, and you and I were just talking about it. Brian's like, how many people do we think actually had a Microsoft footprint of some form? And we talked to hundreds of people, but it was at least 60%, right? I think had some kind of Microsoft project or work management with Planner,
Sure.
or project online, or project on the desktop, or project for the web, or something like that. So maybe if you could take us through kind of a quick update on kind of what's going on with the Microsoft technology landscape.
Yeah, more than happy to. It's a really exciting time at Microsoft with project and work management. So what they're doing, folks, and this is publicly available information at this point, is they're actually bringing together Microsoft To Do, which is your personal task list, Microsoft Planner, which are your tasks that may be assigned to you by someone who's trying to get organized work done, a list of things that need to happen, and Microsoft Project for the Web, which is their web-based project management scheduling tool. Mike, did you know that Microsoft Planner is like actually the most used app in Microsoft 365?
I had heard that it's available as a download, but it was like downloaded more than any other add-in. I think
Amazing.
that's crazy.
Yeah. And they're putting it to get those things together into a familiar task experience for project management. And it's going to be simple to manage all your work in one place, flexible to work the way you want by offering those three different kind of progressive steps into complexity, and scalable to power your largest plans, and intelligent to accelerate outcomes with AI. So they're calling it the new Planner, and there'll be basically an upgrade to Planner, which will be called Planner Premium, which will contain the project management functionality. And this is all public information that they released recently at Ignite. So coming in early 2024, the new Planner experience is going to be available inside of Microsoft Teams. And in later 2024, it'll be available in the web experience. So we're really excited about this, because Planner is going to contain Copilot features. So remember when Mike was showing you the Teams Copilot features? Well, they're going to basically put Copilot in everything. It's already in Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, and Excel. It's going to be part of an additional subscription, an a la carte subscription available to Microsoft 365 customers, and Planner is going to be no exception. So we are really excited about seeing the Copilot features in Planner. So you can use Copilot for project management. And that means that chat experiences in Microsoft 365 and Power Platform are generally available now. And that means generally available means if you pay for the subscription.
Right.
And then early 2024, Copilot is going to start showing up in Planner, in Microsoft Teams, and then later in the web.
Right. That's awesome. I changed something up on you here, Brian. I moved this slide up, this next one, which is actually the Copilot demo because it seems to make sense here. So I'm going to run this video real quick. This is actually, Brian mentioned that there was a bunch of new things that came out at Ignite back in the fall last year, and this is a Copilot experience that Brian was just talking about. This is a video that Microsoft did. It's actually this link right here, which I don't know if you'll be able to do the link from the PDF when we send it to you, but you could Google it as well. But I just took a snip of it out of here, and hopefully you guys can hear the audio. Let this play. It's just a couple minutes long.
Is it possible to make
Say
it
we're
full
getting ready
screen
to
for you?
initiate a product
Yeah.
launch. I want to track this work.
That's as full screen as I can make it. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I had to embed it into this slide, so I'm sorry.
It's fine.
It's not super big.
Work in the new planner. I'll start by creating a plan and naming it product launch. Now, let's start the planning process. This can sometimes be tedious, but luckily Copilot helps speed it up. I can simply ask Copilot to plan for a product launch. Copilot immediately starts generating the plan, analyzing our goals, and breaking down the work to accomplish them. The Copilot generated plan is a great start, and I can keep it now if I wanted. I notice that retrospective work is missing from the plan. I'll ask Copilot to include work to validate successful launch. This looks great. I can easily keep the generated tasks, adding them directly to the plan. Planning this launch is off to a great start.
That's where I cut it off. If you want to continue to watch it, if anyone wants to go out there, he actually does some things with subtask and some other things that are kind of cool. All right, back to you, Brian.
Right. So there's going to be some really great things coming to Copilot with Planner. Be able to create a plan on the fly, questions and answers, and some of those key features of Copilot that they're really saying are super important for enterprises is it's responsible. It's grounded by Microsoft 365 content. So this is not your public cloud GPT. This is in your local tenant, your local environment. And when you ask it questions, you're not training some larger model that's available in the public domain. It's going to have plugins and skills and custom connectors as well, so that you can actually create custom experiences with Copilot.
You hit on a point there, and I don't actually have a slide on it. We usually have something in there about responsible AI, and it's a very good point. You talked about the data remaining in your own tenant. Microsoft has gone they have a very strong responsible AI and data governance set of policies and technologies that they put in place around that. So there's a lot of information out there on the web. You guys can ask us. We can point you to some of their responsible AI policies and stuff. But they're doing some really good stuff around, like Brian said, making sure that your data is separated. So if you're not familiar with like GPT and some of these others, there's a little disclaimer that comes up if you go to Chat GPT or some of these other places that says, be careful, your data may be used. The stuff that you enter in here could be used in the larger data set and the learning models for the next revision. They put them out every so often, right? Learning models aren't real time, which, by the way, if you didn't know, that is important. If you want to do research using AI, things like GPT are not real time. The last model I think was published 3 or 4 or 5 months ago. They're getting faster, but they have to go learn and do things. And now, if you ask it to do research, like if you go to Bing with a Copilot built in, which it is by default, I think, and you say research this, it'll actually go comb through the web to find the latest information. Just a pro tip there. I do a lot with AI on GPT and stuff.
Okay, so one of the scenarios we just really want to highlight is going to be the ability to actually create a project schedule on the fly, and add tasks to it that are related to what you want to do. So in this particular case, you're asking Copilot to add tasks that have to do with forming a marketing plan, and then you're refining that even further. So this is the type of thing you can look forward to in terms of building your own project plans with the new planner. One other thing that you can do is you can identify problems with your project. So you can ask Copilot, like, show me all the late tasks, or show me all the tasks that are going to be due tomorrow, or that are running longer than scheduled. And you can ask it those questions, and it'll limit the data set accordingly. Some other things that they're thinking about building in are triaging new work, mitigating actual risks, checking on the progress, or rebalancing resources.
Oh, sorry about that. I went too fast.
It's okay.
There you go.
Keep going. A couple of other things that we are aware of that they're actually going to be building into Project for the Web and Planner is lead and lag. So right now with Project for the Web, you have dependencies, and you have different types of dependencies, which are finish to start, start to start, finish to finish. But you don't have any lead or lag time between task dependencies. So for all of you PMPs, you're going to be wanting to use that within your project schedules. And that was one area that they had not gotten to with Project for the Web, and that is going to be available shortly. One other thing that they're building in, and this is based on a lot of feedback that they got, is baselining. So they'll be adding baselining functionality to Project for the Web. And when it's renamed as Planner Premium, it'll have the baseline capabilities in there.
And someone just
and they're
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to move on to something else. What happened?
Just somebody asked about portfolios, and it happens to be the next slide, so it was good timing, CS. Whoever asked that.
Sure. Yeah, they are going to be building in portfolios to it as well, so that you'll be able to see what projects are associated with different portfolios, and I'm starting to see some things that they may have different execution types for those portfolios. But I think that remains to be seen. At least Planner and Planner Premium will be execution types within that. Maybe even bringing in some projects that are in different tools, like Azure DevOps, for example. That would be cool. And so they're going to be iterating on this and building in portfolio scenarios into Project for the Web inside of Teams.
Just to clarify something, we've been using the term Project for the Web and Planner Premium. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Brian, what's going to happen is anyone who knows about Project for the Web, that's going to basically be Planner Premium in the future, right?
Yeah, I think so.
It's going to be sort of rebranded and put into that. So,
yeah, definitely flows off the tongue a little easier.
It sure does, and it's not as confusing as those who've used like PWA or Project Web Access and all that kind of stuff, right? It's like Project Web Access, Project for the Web, sounds a lot the same, different thing.
Yeah, geez.
Yeah.
That's why they have us partners around to clarify all that stuff, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. So this one is so I wanted to give you guys a little bit of a view Microsoft is all in on AI, right? They've actually renamed their partner program I mentioned before. It's called the Microsoft AI Cloud Partner Program. This is actually the homepage from inside there. So when I log on as a partner, this is what you see. And what's interesting there is this term that's been starting to get thrown around: limitless innovation with Microsoft AI. I mean, that's a pretty bold statement, right? But that's what they're saying. They're saying this is the new standard, that with AI on the platform, there's limitless things that you can go do as a partner and as a customer, a consumer of the technology, that when you have your own IT shops and you want to do these things. So we've taken that to heart, and starting about a little over 3 years ago, we started developing one of our products to take advantage of this. We saw the kind of the capabilities of all this about 5 years ago, being close to Microsoft, seeing what they were doing in the world of AI and what they were doing with their modern platform, with Power Platform and the low code, no code, and all these things coming together. What actually Brian said a few minutes ago, which is really interesting, is the acceleration of the collaboration platform, Teams. And I think the pandemic probably had a lot to do with that. Unfortunately, but everybody went home and started working remotely, so that the adoption of that really accelerated. So now everybody's on these collaboration platforms, especially Teams. It's one of the top ones out there, and now you can do all these things. So we saw all that a few years ago, and we started developing our product, which Brian's going to walk through a little bit now. It's called Teams for PM.
Yep, that's right. So we've built on top of Teams, and we were talking about earlier in the call how possible that is, and Mike just touched on how it's basically limitless. And that's a really, really exciting opportunity. You can go ahead and move to the next slide, Mike. So when we talk about Teams for PM, we want to manage projects in the flow of work, in the flow of what you're already doing. And having project inside of Teams and the new Planner Premium inside of Teams is a good step in the right direction. But there's so much more that we can be doing to really tie it into the way that you work all day in Microsoft Teams, and that's what Teams for PM does. So Teams for PM includes AI capabilities that we've already pre-created today, outside and in addition to the Copilot stuff. It's built on Microsoft Power Apps, Power BI, and AI. And that's the platform, the low code platform that we can leverage to our benefit inside of Microsoft Teams. It creates a common data set for all of your enterprise work, whether you're managing that in just Planner or in Project for the web, soon to be Planner Premium, or even in Project Online. I saw some chats like, what is the difference between PWA and Project for the web? Well, PWA is you're going to be your Project Online, and that's Project Server hosted in the cloud. We're going to show you a way that you can use all three of those things together inside of Teams. Imagine bringing Project Online inside of Teams and not having to go to a separate site to manage all that stuff. Wouldn't that be amazing? It's possible. We can leverage familiar tools and experiences in Microsoft Teams by building inside of it, so you never have to leave Teams for any reason. It works with, like I said, all those three flavors of project management and captures reportable data in the flow of work. We talked about this earlier. We talked about how you guys are always chasing data around and trying to reflect what's going on in some report or in some other system. Well, what if the data was generated from the work that's happening in Teams? What if that was able to just do that for you so you didn't have to create it manually? And what better way to adopt a project management system than to just tell people you can just use Teams. All you have to do is use it in this way, and the rest is taken care of. So it automates and governs the use of Teams for the purposes of project management. And so I'm going to demonstrate Teams for PM for you right now. Now, some of you are coming at this from a perspective of, I don't use anything today. I'm just using Excel, or I'm using some third-party tool, and that's fine. And some of you are coming at this from the perspective of, I already have Project Server or Project Online, and I'm trying to do what's next. Some of you may be using other project portfolio management tool sets in your in your company and maybe just representing data in there, but the actual work going on the ground isn't happening in that system. So let me show you a way where we can work together in teams more collaboratively using these different tools all together in all synced up in concert with one another. What you have in front of you right now is Microsoft Teams, and you'll notice I have a huge dashboard at my disposal of all of the data that's going on in my portfolio that was built with Power BI. I can drill down into these different phases and get information, and I can limit the data set based on my clicking. I can also drill into issues and risks, and I can see what kind of risks are happening across the organization, what kind of issues are happening across the organization. So all of your project data is in one place in one dashboard, but how did it get there? Well, it all starts with a simple request form. And because we're using Power Automate, you can build in whatever kind of intake process you want, whether it's starting in another system or a simple form like this. Once you complete this, basically Teams for PM will automatically create a project Teams channel for you in the right place, underneath the right program or department team where it belongs. And that means you don't have to figure out where to go to create the Teams channel. You don't have to ask IT to create the Teams channel. It just does it for you. And it's going to create all the tabs at the top that you need in order to execute your project effectively. And this becomes the project workspace. Once the project is approved, within a minute or two, you have a Teams channel at your disposal ready to go. It has, of course, all of your posts. It has all your files that you're working on as a team to collaborate. And once the co-pilot features are in Word and Excel at your company, you'll be able to leverage those right there, right away. It has your project schedule, and this project schedule is built with Project for the web, soon to be Planner Premium. And you'll see that it's basically a very, very nice flexible tool. And they're going to be building in baselining and lead lag, but it's very functional today. It has a board view, so if you want to manage things like in a Kanban methodology, you can do that, or in sprints. It has a timeline, so if you want to take a look at your project schedule in the form of a Gantt chart, it's interactive, so you can move things around. You can create different relationships between tasks by just dragging and dropping them. You can even visualize the project schedule and the critical path by filtering to show the critical path in the project plan. So now everybody can see what's going on. Everybody would have access to this. They'd be able to visualize it. They'd be able to understand what's happening. You have a people view where you can move tasks around and see who's assigned to what. Teams for PM also has a built-in out-of-the-box project status report. So we talked about how important it is to let these automation solutions do things for you, the manual work of putting together a status report. A lot of you are still doing that in Excel or manually in PowerPoint. This is automatic, guys, and it takes the information from the project plan and elsewhere, and it just puts it into this nice, easy to consume status report. Everybody knows where to find it. It's always up to date. And then the project manager, like you guys, would be able to come in here and modify the project information and data right from Teams so that all that information that's flowing to the project dashboard is just easily at your fingertips. Things like red, yellow, green status, so that you can put your indicators in there on cost health, risk health, schedule health. If you want to change the budget, if you want to change what phase you're in, all you have to do is point and click. It's all easy, and it's right here in Teams. This AI module is called Project Sentiment Analysis. And what it's showing is that as I'm chatting about the project and people are posting information, is that positive or negative according to the sentiment of the things being discussed and compared with the peer average score. So if as a manager or a project manager, you might want to understand how the project is going at a different level just by analyzing how people feel about the project. Those posts are happening here in the post screen as well as, and we talked about like, let's generate data off of getting the work done. Great. So let's have a conversation about this task. Let's dig in and let's have a task conversation about how it's going. Let's ask our peers. And then that's actually generating the sentiment analysis data. But now that we're in here, we can mark something as complete. We can change the dependencies. We can change the planned work, and it's all right here inside of Teams where you're already working. You have the ability to audit tasks as well. So there's a lot of functionality here that you probably weren't aware of that's available today. Besides that, Mike talked about like lessons learned, issue, and risk logging. We have a simple way to do that right here within this tab. This is just using a Microsoft list, but it's also copying that list into a database so that all of that information is available in a centralized app screen where, as a project management leader, you can come in here and you can make changes to your data. You can see everything that's going on, all the issues, all the risks, all the lessons learned across the company, across the portfolio. And you can even make changes to the project summaries right here by just clicking into this easy to use grid. And all these changes go back to the channel. So again, Teams for PM automates the channel creation. It'll even light up your project schedule in whatever tool you want to use, whether that's going to be project for the web, PWA, or if it's going to be planner. All that stuff is going to be available right there. So you'll be able to light up these projects in whatever tool that you think is the best tool for the job. And so that's how Teams for PM works. It basically offers the ability to automate project Teams channel creation, govern the data, and provide a collaborative platform so that you can make sure that everybody is working in Teams where it matters, where they're already living. And then you can provide diversity with project team execution. And I'll just give you another example of that. In this particular project, we flipped through a couple that were being managed with Project for the Web or Planner, but this one is actually being managed with Project Online. And some of you may refer to it as PWA. That's no problem. We can do that. So if you have a Project Online deployment or a Project Server deployment today, let's talk about getting it into Teams. Let's talk about bringing it into the action and where the collaboration is happening, Mike.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you, Brian. That was awesome. And I know you had to make it quick because, like we said, we had a lot of wood to chop, so we were running short on time. I know there's a lot of questions and stuff, but one of the things I want to make sure we get to real quick here is, we'll skip over this. This is our architecture diagram. You guys will get it. Kind of shows a little bit about how that works. Talked about demonstration. This is, I won't cover this because I need to get to, but this is, we promised you guys we would talk about, here's a way to think about the journey. So get comfortable that it's a journey, follow the strategy. There's some strategy recommendations there, but I want to get to this slide. So if you guys want a Sugar Wish, Microsoft made this available. So scan that QR code. We would love to get the feedback. That's a Microsoft QR code, the middle one there. And of course, we've made my book available for, until 11:59 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So all of these are only available if you take the shot now, because the Sugar Wish and other stuff Microsoft wanted us to take out when we do the when we send out the version of this, the recording.
Right. And Pamela actually just put the tiny URL for the book into the chat, so you guys can actually click on the active link in there.
Right. Yep. So I want to pause there for another second. We do have, the next one is about keeping in touch. I'll get there in just a second. Give everybody another minute to take a screenshot or take a shot with your mobile phone for the QR codes. And we are just about out of time, but I know Brian and I would be happy to stick around for a few minutes if anyone would like to talk. There were a million questions. I'm not sure we're going to be able to address all of them. We can go back and maybe start addressing them as they are in the chat. So
Mike, I put some of the earlier questions into a chat with you and Brian on a separate channel, so you guys can access those.
I want to talk about how to contact us. So if you want to keep in touch and you want to learn more about Teams for PM, if you could put that back up, Mike, it's teamsforpm.com/contact. So that's our website, and you can fill out a form there. You can also learn a lot more about Teams for PM if you go to that website. Again, that's www.teams4pm.com. teams.com/contact, just like you see on your screen. And we'd be more than happy to work with you if you're interested in learning more about Teams for PM or the journey that you'll all be on with modernizing your project management workspace.
Yep, I understand a lot of people got to drop for 3 o'clock, so that's why we kind of accelerated through the end. But we'll stick around for a few more minutes if there's any more. Thanks for all the great interaction, and it's been awesome. Let's see, are there any other, let's see, you answered the Kindle only question. What else do we have for people? AI tools, how does this compare? I think I answered that one. It's, like Smartsheet. This is not, the Teams for PM tool is at the Teams level, as is the Microsoft Copilot. The AI that's embedded into the Microsoft execution product, like Planner Premium that Brian was showing, we showed the demo, that's in the execution, we call it an execution tool. It's Planner Premium, right? Now, Smartsheet has their own AI that's built into it, as does ClickUp, Asana, and a bunch of the others.
And they're all going to have them, Mike. Everybody's
Yeah.
going to be having their AI widgets and their respective tools. What we're saying is that Microsoft has a platform for AI. So if you want to combine your data, your project management data, with other data that's on your platform and run AI models off the whole thing, then you're not going to be able to do that if you're just leveraging another tool with an AI widget.
Right. Yeah, it's only gonna work. It's only gonna reason over. That's what the kind of the term that's being thrown around. It's only gonna reason over that, like in Smartsheet example. It's only gonna reason over the data that you have in Smartsheet. It's not going to be able to look at the Teams level data that's going on, the chats and all the other stuff. It's not going to be able to look at if you're doing something in Project Online or Project for the Web or Asana or ClickUp or Wrike or Jira or whatever, name your flavor. So that's why we think that really working at the Teams level, at the platform level, to bring it all together, because that's where the work's going on anyway, and it has all these AI and automation capabilities built in. Make that your hub, your central point for all of your project and work management.
Right. Another question is any integration with Oracle P6 scheduling software? Not at this time, but we're always looking into integrations with other systems. Now, I will say that Power Automate provides connectors. You can create a Power Automate custom connector to other systems. You can also leverage the 80 connectors that are plus connectors that are already available. So integration is definitely possible. So let's talk some more about that.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up, Brian, and thanks for that question. We are actually bringing out a new set of features that will support a whole myriad of additional non-Microsoft products to bring that capability into Teams, right? So we're looking at Smartsheet, we're looking at Jira, we're looking at a couple others, maybe Asana or ClickUp. Those things will be able to be there. It'll have, at least in the first release, it'll have partial fidelity, so it'll be able to work with those using the connectors that are in place. We haven't looked really at P6 Primavera yet. That's an amazing tool for engineering firms and people that are doing those kind of things, but we just haven't looked at doing that one yet. Right. But there's a whole slew of them that we can bring in, and we can bring people into that experience. How far we go into the full integration into our product will depend on how much demand there is. We did it full integration with all the Microsoft products except for ADO, which we'll do with that one. Of course, that one abstracts things a little bit, because when you're working in an ADO, which is more of an agile fashion, it's not a one-to-one ratio with like task assignments and time-phased task and resourcing that way, right? They don't think about things that way. It's more like you have a team working on this sprint or this story or this epic or whatever. So it's a little different in the way that it works, but we'll be working on that too.
Okay, Mike. I think Imran was asking if Teams for PM was part of Microsoft Teams. It's available to the public or for a premium. Yes. So Teams for PM is our tool, our product that we created with the Power Platform, and it leverages AI within your Microsoft 365 tenant. It's available as a subscription from Innovative. So contact us via the website, that URL that's on the screen right now, and we can talk more about actually getting it installed in your Teams environment for you. Okay, Ben Metzler was wondering if there's any chance of getting this FedRAMP approved. Well, Ben, we are actually actively looking into that. If you have a business need for it and you're in the federal government space, we'd love to talk to you about assisting us with getting it FedRAMP approved.
Yeah, we have some customers already in the federal space who are are asking for that, and we've been going through, working with Microsoft and with some third-party folks who help build that whole approval process in FedRAMP. It's not trivial. It's a large investment of time and money, and you got to partner, like Brian says, you have to partner with some customers to get through and get to the ATO. That's actually the authorization to operate. You actually have to have an agency or somebody within the federal government who's willing to sponsor and take that last step. So there's a lot of moving parts to that, but we are definitely moving in that direction.
And Horace was asking if it can report on resource capacity across projects. Horace, if you're still on, the answer is we're working on it. So we are actually developing that right now. So we'd love to show you what we've got going so far. We didn't really have time to cover that today, but if you contact us, you can learn more about that feature, which is on our roadmap, and we're actually working on it. We know a lot of people need that.
Yeah, that one's a little bit challenging because you have to abstract it when you're working across multiple execution tools. You have to be able to work with all those and kind of figure out how to make it work. So we've got a resource planning component that's in development, pretty close to being released. Past that, we've got to work on the other pieces, of how the updates and everything will work. But the planning piece is almost done, so you can plan across multiple resources or multiple execution tools.
Okay, so Robin says, this is great. What program is this out of? Teams for Microsoft? Yeah, Robin, we built it inside of Teams. If you're still online and you'd like to learn more about it, give us a shout at the contact form. The URL you see below. Wow, we've got a lot of wows, and this seems exceptional, and someone didn't even believe us that we had built it. But
yeah,
it's
I saw that.
real.
I said we actually have customers using it. Believe us. There's actually at least a couple of case studies out there. I think we have Carolinas Telco and I think Southern New Hampshire University is out there as well.
That's right. So Sophie was wondering if everybody has access, is there a way to lock down the ability to drag and drop tasks in a schedule? Yeah, Sophie. So your team members wouldn't have that ability, just the project managers or the folks that are managing the plan itself usually. So yeah, of course. An unknown user says, is the information you have in the dashboard flowing up from all the different SharePoint sites and documents? Yeah, it is. Isn't that cool? And then Sophie also noted that she liked the option of the functionality that she's part of 33 teams in Microsoft Teams. So she prefers working off the browser. That's okay. You can work off the browser too on a lot of these experiences. It just won't be as connected.
But the interesting thing there is, and any of us who use Teams to any extent feel her pain on Teams sprawl. But one of the things you pointed out, Brian, is that Teams for PM creates a governance structure. So it's going to be the same every time versus having different project managers create their own team site and however they feel is the best way to do it, right? So this governance that's built in actually makes it. We have customers with literally hundreds, thousands of projects and sites, and they're all the same because it's all built the same way. So with having that information architecture, that governance piece and building in, you know exactly where to go, even if it does kind of sprawl, and it's easy to search for because it's all governed, standardized, which also is part of the reason that we could do some of the things we're doing with AI. That governance structure makes sure that the same components are in the same place across all projects, right? So now that's why we can go in and apply AI and automation against that, and as well as our customers can do that too.
Yeah. And Axel was wondering if you can hook up ChatGPT to other AI modules that are out there. I don't think so. I think they built it as, I think it's using Chat or GPT-4, and that's the one that they have running in the Microsoft environments, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I don't know. There's multiple products involved here. GPT is one of them. There's also the Azure AI capabilities, which there's 4 or 5 flavors of that. And I know that there's ways, and I'm not the technical person. I've seen it. I've seen our developers show me that you can pull from different sources, and I think you can attach to different language models, but I'm not sure about that. So that would be.
Yeah, I'd be curious, like what the premise of the question is too. So right. we could dig into that a little bit more. Okay, I think I'm gonna stop scrolling through these right now. I think there's a couple of new ones at the bottom. Okay, so I think we've made it through all of the questions. If you have any additional questions, feel free to just put them into the chat. We'll stick around for more. Really appreciate the 171 of you that have hung around 11 minutes after the hour, and we're
amazing.
willing to stay if you are. So feel free to ask any additional questions. Other than that, I would say that let's keep in touch. So www.teams4pm.com/contact. And we would love to keep the conversation going and chat more about this. We're very energetic and excited about it. We talk to new people every day. Thank you so much for joining our today's webinar.
Yeah, thanks everybody. It's been amazing interaction. Really makes it a lot of fun for us.
And don't forget to download and read Mike's book.
Yeah, I'll go back to that page for a second to get your sugar wish in the book. And then, of course, do the feedback if you don't mind.
All right, folks. I think we're going to log off. Thank you so much for your time again, and we'll see you next time. We'll do another one of these soon.
We'll go back. Somebody's asking if we're going to answer all the questions. We'll go back through the all the questions we didn't get to in the Q&A, and we'll try to at least offer some where we can in the follow-up that Pamela will send out. And if we can't answer it in detail, of course, we are more than happy to schedule a call to have conversations with folks.
Okay. Thanks so much. Have a great
Thanks,
day,
everybody.
folks.
Thanks, Brian. Thanks, Pamela. Take care, everybody.